Onikira Demon Killer is a side-scrolling hack-and-slash game developed by Digital Furnace Games and published by Merge Games and Headup Games. The game is currently available in early access, but this is actually the review of the finished product, the 100% finished product, and I'm giving it to you. The story is a classic Japanese demon hunting story. There have been demons, there have been people that have killed demons. Demons are not here anymore, but suddenly, after a ton of years, they're coming back. And you are playing as a certain guy who's lost his father, and he has a badass sword and is going around killing monsters and demons. And that's the story. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. The dialogue isn't all that interesting, but there isn't much story. While you're playing the game, you can skip all the cutscenes if you want, you can also just don't care. If you are into this type of stories, I recommend it, otherwise don't come here for the story, because it's the weakest point of the game. Graphically, the game looks really good. It's all hand-drawn animations and the backgrounds are the best part of it. They look phenomenal. There are god rays coming through the trees, there are houses that are burning, cities getting destroyed, beautiful forests. It's a very pretty looking side-scrolling game, one of the best ones in my opinion, and if you are a fan of this type of games, you won't regret looking at it at least. If you don't like the gameplay I'm gonna talk about right now, you will enjoy looking at the graphics very much. The gameplay is basically Devil May Cry meets Guacamelee. You have a style point, it's a style system, like in Devil May Cry for example. If you do certain different combos, you change weapons during combat, you get different scores, and the more varied the combos are, the higher the score gets. And also you get different enemies that require different weapons to be killed, like in Guacamelee. And is it annoying? Kind of, but the combat is very fluid, there are tons of weapons, the enemy are really tough to kill, but it's really satisfying. Every single slash of the katana, every other weapon that you acquire during the game. It's a very powerful game, it's very entertaining, I had a ton of fun. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did while playing it, because I can get really tired really fast playing this type of games, but I actually had a ton of fun playing it. It's fast, it's not very repetitive, there are multiple enemy types, all the levels are very long, around 20 to 40 minutes each. And the boss fights are actually very well developed, even though they are easier compared to some other normal enemies fights. But I had a ton of fun, and if you're a fan of hack-and-slash games or side-scrolling games, I think this would be right up your alley. Also because there are multiple secrets that are actually very well hidden, surprisingly enough. The game is actually very challenging, because compared to most other games, there aren't health kits anywhere and you can't acquire health really easily. The only way that you can acquire health in a fast way is while you're fighting enemies. When you kill an enemy, it will give you some health back. But I think there's some kind of bug right now, because even though you get the health, I can see the red orb going into you, you don't actually get health back, not all the time, and this can be very frustrating because you also get very little health, so you must keep dodging while fighting, you must keep a lookout for enemies shooting at you, trying to keep your combo up, doing the most damage that you can, because otherwise you will die a lot. But there are multiple checkpoints, so it's not as frustrating as other games, and you always spawn back with full health, so it's a mixed bag, and it can be very frustrating multiple times, but still it's very enjoyable. The soundtrack is good, and the sound effects are also very good. They're nothing spectacular, they're not bad, they're not mediocre, they're good, but you don't notice them as much as in other games. Also when enemies die or while playing, the soundtrack fits the game, it's very well done, but I don't find it as memorable as it could have been, even though there is a nice Japanese samurai feel to it, which I really enjoyed. The game, as I've already said, is very long. There are 7 or 10 levels, I quite don't remember his written number of levels. Nice. And they are very long, each is around 30-40 minutes long. And you will die a lot, even though there are some easier boss fights. There are multiple secrets to find, there are multiple Steam achievements. After you finish the game, you can play in a combat arena that's like the ones in God of War, where you have different parameters. You have to kill a certain amount of enemies, you have to avoid being hit, things like that, which I actually really enjoy, even though they are hell to beat. They are almost impossible sometimes, and that's the real frustrating point of the game. But it's not the main game, so the frustration isn't as big as it could have been. Overall, I recommend Onikira Demon Killer, but you have to beware of this game because it's very hard. It's kind of unforgiving. The levels are really long, so if you're just wanna play like 10 minutes and then you exit, you come back, you will restart from the beginning of the game, from the beginning of the level, which can be really frustrating sometimes. The music is good, sound is good, gameplay, I enjoyed it very much. It could have been way worse, way repetitive, but I can see some people complaining about it. So guys, I recommend Onikira Demon Killer to action games fanatics, to hack and slash lovers, but if you don't like either of these genres, I recommend you stay away from it because you won't enjoy yourself.